Oh, fucking K. Are you guys ready? I don't think you're fucking ready, Holmes. It's, I really hope my new fucking device does not start going off and when it thinks, because I set it up really close to, that's gonna suck. Don't mind me, alright? We're getting started. We're getting finished, actually. I'm pretty sure this is close to the end. It's gotta be. They've teased it like none other, so. Svartalfheim, Helheim, Alfheim. I'm not going to either one of those. I've thought about doing it on my own time. Decided, nah, I just don't care. There's nothing for me there. We're going to Jotunheim.
Boy, ahead. Get ready.
Oh, right. Got it. Let's hope this doesn't cause you to explode or anything.
Oh, hadn't considered that. Maybe we should talk about this a bit more.
Nah, I'm sure you'll be fine. Ready?
Oh, that's unpleasant!
Now, boy.
Damn.
We must be close.
Doesn't look like there's any
What are we
possible way
Think it's far?
We will see.
that any of the gods could have followed us, right? They would have had to have been in this room with us. There's no other way to Jotunheim.
A word, please, before we continue. Listen, the last thing you two need up there's a decomposing he'd ruin in the moment. Why don't I wait for you here? This is between you and the boy.
True. But if someone wants to
My
fight,
lady sips soft, perfect sloshers. You done did it.
Sorry. We had to see this.
Oh, no. No. Ah, fine, damn it. Fine.
watch the head till we return.
I can do this. No, I can't. Oh.
Okay.
Ready. Come.
This is it. Find Jotunheim's highest peak. Goat boy. Look at this. This is beautiful. There's still so much that they need to answer. I'm ready to figure out what the fuck it is. I hear footsteps, I don't see anything. Unless it's just a clever loading screen. In which case it's not that clever. Yep, it sounds like a loading screen. It's taking for fucking ever. Oh my god. Really? I mean, I know I have it set to like resolution instead of performance, but... a lot of dead air here. Whoa. What the? I can move? Am I? Oh my Christ.
Look! We're on the giant's fingers.
Jesus Christ, what was I
see the highest peak
behind the
ahead.
door or something?
Right over there. We did it.
We did.
Like, oh fuck, where are the ashes? Oh, he took them off. Is the fighting really done?
What are you doing?
I have nothing more to hide.
Can we go now? We're so close.
His son gives no fucks.
Boy. Carry her.
I don't know why.
Boy.
It's nothing. I just thought I'd hear voices by now.
I don't know, I was really touched by that scene. It's really weird.
Hello? Anybody here?
It was really well done.
What is this place?
They must have all come through here when they left Midgard. What was left of them.
What are these depicting?
Why carve all these faces?
What if this is all the giants that got out of Midgard alive? Not really many at all. Odin and Thor, ruining everything for everybody.
New lore added. Midgard was a dream of what could be if we shared and collaborated, and so we mocked and tricked and used and then slaughtered. Odin and his tribe were barred from our realm, but it was not enough. The wrath of Thor and his terrible hammer have thinned our number in Midgard to the brink of ruin. There is no option to withdraw while yet any live to do so. Odin and Thor would have killed all the giants if they could, and they got away with everything.
Huh. Who's the Guardian?
Tyr. Right? We foresee Midgard's fate overrun a second hell. Neither Odin nor his dad may reach Jotunheim. Nor his dead, not dad. My mama's dad. The ways must be shut. The serpent and the guardian remained. The serpent and the guardian. They alone shall keep our hope. When doom befalls the indestructible, only then shall the guardian return. Until then, we await a better world, one without fear, without greed, without war. We wait for deliverance and justice. We wait for a champion. We will wait for word that gods grow good. Hope that the world gets here soon. Is that the kid? Is the kid the guardian?
I should feel them, but
I
I
don't-
don't. This place is dead.
I really...
What happened to them? Why'd Mom send us here?
I don't think it's
One question
Kratos.
is answered and two more take its place.
I think it's a kid. Whoa.
Wait! Father! Something's happening. It's your axe.
It's her.
It's Mother.
She's the guardian.
Look. She's arguing with a bunch of giants. She knew giants? That's us. First time we met the
Whoa.
world serpent.
Were they watching us, or is this a prophecy?
And our fight with Baldur. But that just happened. Wait. They knew everything that was going to happen. The dragon in the mountain, the stone mason, all these drawings. This is our story.
No,
It's yours.
this is your story.
But what does it all mean?
That I was not the only parent with secrets.
You didn't know. She was a giant.
Oh.
I'm a giant. Why didn't she tell us?
She sent us here, knowing we would find this.
But why not just tell us the truth?
Your mother would have had good reasons.
Not good enough to send us through hell, but literally.
Mother was never sent to find me. He was tracking her all along, not knowing she was only ashes.
If she had a plan for us, I trust it. Whatever it is.
Who's gonna die?
Besides, she hasn't been wrong yet.
Who's gonna die?
Come on. We're so close to the end now.
Not gonna lift up that curtain?
Yes. Yes, we are.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I don't want to play anymore, you guys. Fuck. Oh god. Why did the kid... How... He... What... Okay, I'm gonna put it out there right now. It does not make any sense that the kid wouldn't look. The kid's nothing but curiosity. He was a fucking snot-nosed brain little bitch like a few hours ago. There's no reason I mean, he knows that this goes all the way and that's covering something, right? And Kratos is the only one that sees it, and Kratos knows that he's going to die, and he doesn't tell the kid.
Look. It's Mother's. She was here. She saw every step we took before we took it. Like she was always with us. Watching over us. Leading us home. Let's finish it.
I don't want to finish it anymore. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do it. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. Whoa. Who's that? Whoa. They're all giants? Are they statues or are they... They're statues.
Father.
No. We do it together. Son. Goodbye, Faye.
I love you, Mom. The giants. They really are all gone. There's nothing for us here.
Come.
So, I get that Mother was a giant, which makes me part giant and part god.
And part mortal.
Right. I guess there's just one thing I don't understand. My name on the wall. The giants called me... Loki?
Loki. That's the name your mother wanted for you when you were born. She must have called you that to her people.
But why?
A question for another day. Let us go home.
He's not destined to be the god of mischief, right? Still so many questions.
Guess it all makes sense now. Why she want to end up here?
What?
Be with her kind?
No, this is not.
Did she know it was going to be like this here? Is this what she wanted us to see? Did she want us to tell the people? Or keep it a secret?
I do not know.
So what should we do?
I trust you to decide that.
Oh. So, why'd you want to name me Atreus? I know it can't be for a god.
No. He was a soldier. A Spartan.
The great warrior?
All Spartans are great warriors. We trained from birth. Our lives were discipline, duty, battle, and death. Life was grim, and we greeted it grimly. But Atreus of Sparta was unlike the rest of us. He wore a smile even in the worst of times. He was happy. He inspired us to hope that though we were machines of war, yet there was humanity in us. Goodness. When the day came for him to lay down his life in battle, his sacrifice saved countless others and turned the tide in our favor. I carried him home on his shield and buried him with all the honors of Spartan custom. His memory was a comfort in dark times.
Wow, you actually told a good story. Amir missed it. I understand if you want to go home, but I bet there are still some corrupted Valkyries out there that could be set free. Some other help people. Maybe helping people is part of why Mom sent us out here, too. I mean, what would Atreus of Sparta do?
And what would Loki do?
Huh. That's a weird name. I'm glad we went with yours.
What the hell?
Lads, am I glad to see you? I believe I've reached my limit for dwarven charm.
What happened, Mimir?
They took an uncomfortable number of measurements and then proceeded to bicker about the weather.
Where do you want us to take you?
How about the warm confines of anywhere bloody else?
Explore with Atreus. Continue exploring. Complete dwarven favors, free dragons, travel to Muspelheim and Niflheim, find new items in the shop that will allow you to defeat all the legendary corrupted Valkyries. The locations of all of them have been revealed. I'm not getting it. What the fuck? I only see one of them. Wait, is it an Alfheim? Yep, there's one in Alfheim. One in Helheim. And one in Niflheim. I already got that one. Well, New Game Plus allows you to start a new game while maintaining your equipment, hack silver, and purchased items. New Game Plus. That was it? No, wait. Hold up. Let me make sure, just real quick before I make an ass of myself, that this is the ending to the story. Okay. So, this is not yet the true ending. There's still something to be had here. I don't know what it is. I just know how to figure it out.
Before we return to Midgard, I should warn you. More time has passed than you likely realize. The snowfall that began when you slew Baldur has become something else. The stuff of omens.
Omens for the coming of winter.
Not just any winter, but a great winter to span 3 summers. And when it's done, Ragnarok begins.
Ragnarok from snow.
Aye, snow. Lots more snow. And then the end of the bloody world. In that approximate order.
Another prophecy.
No, brother. Prophecy doesn't expect this for 100 more winters at least. You've changed something. Prophecy didn't count on you.
So, you do have to know a little bit about Nordic mythology in order to kind of, and it's cool that it rewards those that have a little bit of interpretation from Nordic mythology to be able to guess what's going on. So he is Loki, the god of mischief, and in Nordic mythology, the original. Okay, so Baldur is the son of the goddess Freya, and she made her son invulnerable. And there was like a testament to his invulnerability. People were throwing stones at him and shit, and Loki gave his brother or something a mistletoe and like attached it to a rock or fashioned an arrow from it or something, and used it to kill Baldur, but he gave it to his brother knowing it would kill Baldur.
It's Fimbulwinter. I can feel it in my scrote. This is the big one.
Stop saying that. Oh, you're making me very nervous. It was bound to snow sooner or later.
That ain't just snow, and you know it. It's the end time.
How dare you make me the voice of reason?
Guys,
Just discussing the weather. Bit of a cold snap lately.
What he means is, Fimbulwinter's upon us, boys. The winter to end all winters. I can feel it in my scrote.
yeah, we heard.
So if you're heading home, try to keep moving, and also to not die.
Or if you're not heading home, same advice.
Yeah, so he's the Loki from Nordic mythology. Kratos is also in Nordic mythology, but he's under a different name, Farbauti. And both of Loki's parents end up dying early on in his childhood, and he's adopted by Thor and Odin. Now, whether or not that's actually going to become part of it in like a DLC or a next installation, I don't know of any DLC for God of War, but I have heard of God of War Ragnarok, and from what I understand, I haven't looked too much into it because I didn't want to spoil anything for myself, but I think it's a new installation from what I've heard. I thought it was just DLC. But, let's see what's going on. So the death of Baldur in Nordic mythology is the very first step or trigger in in Ragnarok. The death of Baldur is. So that's kind of why everything's changed right now. Is that Baldur died. We killed Baldur, and that's the first trigger. So everything's kind of setting in motion. I'm still trying. I mean, there's very much obviously there's going to be some questions that I'm not going to get answered, and it pisses me off a little bit, but.
We're finally home. Feels like a lifetime ago.
Bit drafty, maybe. It's a right improvement over having tree bark in your tadger.
Time to rest.
I'm gonna sleep through winter.
Somehow I doubt that.
Okay, this'll do.
Sleep.
Way ahead of you.
Just sleeping on Mimir's face. Years later?
What was that?
The ball.
Years? God damn, you really were trying to sleep through winter. Oh no, Thor? There's Mjolnir. There it is. There it is. Oh, that fucking soundtrack too is so goddamn good. God damn, I'm just thinking about that. Ooh, fuck, I got chills on that. That was a good representation. I did enjoy that. That's dope. Oh, okay. Excellent game. Absolutely wonderful. I'm gonna go ahead and say this right now. Okay, let me put here. I'm very obviously disappointed with the fact that there was a couple questions that I had that were never answered, and I don't think they're ever going to be answered. Whether or not that was because of the Okay, sorry, I'm trying to think with the music just blaring in my fucking ears. There are a couple things that I'm dissatisfied with. One was the explanation of the boy's attitude when he discovered that he was a god. One little talking to did not feel like a fair adjustment to his attitude based off of how he was acting previous to that moment. He shot his own dad in the chest out of frustration. And all the way leading up to it had no regard for anybody's life. He fucking killed Modi and kicked him off a cliff against his dad's wishes and was acting like a brat. I mean, at very relatable term to put it as. And then just all of a sudden, as soon as we reach Helheim, he's back to being this virtuous little kid that, everything was. He mentioned once before, he said, "That wasn't me." And there was no explanation as to what that was. If they never said anything about the imbalance, they never explained. I don't know. I'm coming up with excuses in my head as to what that fucking meant. Like when he got knocked upside the head and all of a sudden he's okay now. He got knocked unconscious and now he's all good. Did sending him into the rage cause him to be, his that? I mean, it's an interpretation type of thing, but it's too vague. It's too vague for me because I don't know. I feel like it was ignored, but it was such a heavy point in the game, and they made it a point to get it across that he was acting this way and that he was being very different from his character, and you never really understand why. That was probably my biggest plight. The second one was the mistletoe. Now, those green arrows that we were given from Sindri said they were great. We said, okay, sure. And then Freya. Now I understand why Freya was afraid of them now. I understand that now. And I understand that after the whole Baldur incident, she obviously knew that it was his weakness. But when she told Kratos and Sindri that they were wicked, they didn't ask any questions to Sindri. That definitely would have been in Kratos' character to confront Sindri about giving him materials that were not good for him. He has consistently been on guard all the time. He never once asked about the different type of arrows that he gave him, and then he never followed up about it after Freya said that they were really bad. And seeing her reaction, I mean, obviously she was frightened of them. She was like fucking scared shitless of them for good reason. But then Kratos was just, shrugged his shoulders and was like, oh, okay, all right, yeah, sure. I mean, I guess she knows and Sindri doesn't, even though he's the one who's made our weapons and helped us out this entire time. And now he just gave us something, but we're gonna let him slide on that one. You know what I'm saying? And I think there was a couple other points where they just didn't acknowledge, like when Kratos got his blades, his chaos blades. The sun never once asked what the hell those were. He just stayed quiet about them, I think there was. I think I can interpret that when Kratos was watching himself kill his own dad, and Atreus tried to snap him out of it and said, "We got to get out of here." And then they got back into the Bifrost, and Kratos tried to explain, and Atreus was like, "I didn't see anything." I'm pretty sure that was just him comforting his dad, because I think I'm pretty sure he actually did see it. He mentioned later that was your father in Helheim or whatever. But at the time, he just wanted to spare his dad, Kratos, the grief of explaining himself. So there was that. I was wondering when they were going to explain a little bit more of that. But yeah, those three things that just went completely ignored were like surmountable to my story experience that I feel are really big holes or gaps that need to be filled with detail, because otherwise it just feels like bad writing. Now, I know that, I mean, very, very obviously, this is a very well-written story. I mean, it's very classic. Just like, oh, Troy Baker was in this? What the fuck? No way. And Nolan North? I wonder what fucking characters they played. Anyways, so they, yeah, so those three were detrimental for me for my story experience. It just felt like it feels, I don't know, it took away the immersion for me just a little bit, because I was consistently asking these questions and they weren't getting answered. I was waiting for the answers and it just never came. Also, I thought it was a little abrupt that Sindri got yelled at once, and then he decided to go make up with his brother. They didn't really, I mean, I felt like maybe that could have been explored a little bit more. But then again, there's the whole time works differently in different realms. And I think we did just come from a different realm. So maybe a lot of more time had passed. Well, no, I'm pretty sure we were in Helheim. Yeah, so less time passed in Midgard than it did in Helheim. So that still doesn't entirely sit right with me that Sindri and Brock just made up within, who knows, a couple hours, maybe less than that, depending on the pace of the game, from when you see Sindri tell him off to the point where you get knocked into Helheim and then come out of it. I think those times are relatively soon. So yeah, storytelling elements, stuff like that. Gameplay-wise, gameplay was a lot of fun. There were times where I genuinely felt like the game was working against me, and the hitboxes are a little wonky. There were plenty of times where I felt like I got hit when I shouldn't have got hit, and not like... And it could have been just general frustrations, like a fucking Call of Duty game where it's like, there's no way that he made that shot or whatever. But it really did feel, there were some times where, I mean, it had some really difficult enemies in this game, and it gave a Dark Souls feel, which I fucking loved. The idea of overcoming these bosses that were so difficult to fight, and you got that sense of triumph afterwards. But there was genuinely some times where skill could not surpass the way that the game was working. And I was playing with resolution. I'll give it that. I was playing resolution and not for game performance. So it could have been just that easy of a switch, and maybe the hitboxes would have registered much differently. But there was a couple times where I was very upset with how the game was reacting to the way I was playing. And then there's not a lot of times I can blame it on myself. Like, yeah, I'm not the greatest, especially when I take time off and then come back to it and I'm a little rusty. Like, I can understand there's that little learning curve of getting back into it. But I know for sure there was a couple times, I think a couple times with the Valkyrie up in Muspelheim just recently, and either with a couple of the Travelers, like that really, really tough Traveler one, and then there was maybe one or two more instances where I genuinely felt like I was cheated out of my own skill based off of the game's registered hitbox. Recycled dialogue, that was... And see, this is where I get a little nitpicky. These are the smaller little details that can go with or without. Some that are like more in common games that I was hoping not to see in this. And the only reason why I bring them up is for something that I'll talk about here in a minute. But recycled dialogue is kind of annoying. When you hear the character say the exact same thing in the exact same tone. Obviously, that's going to happen a lot when you're in like fights and there's a certain amount of dialogue, you know, he's on your left or whatever, and he's telling you to watch out. But it's not stuff like that. It's like story-oriented type recycled dialogue, especially when that one ghost kept talking to us every single fucking time we walked next to it. That was annoying as shit. There's, and when dialogue is out of order. Say you go out exploring, but you're in a certain part of the story and you complete a side quest long after the point in the story that you should have completed, like Sindri and Brock weren't communicating with each other, and you complete a side quest for either Brock or Sindri and they say something that resembles back when they weren't talking to each other, that type of thing. I don't know if that's a specific instance that I had. I just remember thinking at one point to either Brock or Sindri that they were stating something that was... It was a piece of intel that we'd learned a long time ago. Through in-game story dialogue, and then like off of a side mission, they stated something as if we hadn't already known it. And we responded as if we didn't already know it, but we did. And it's stuff like that that just kind of, you know... It takes you out of it a little bit because you retain that information, but the game characters don't. Like I said, really small stuff. It's very common. It takes a lot of work to be able to have those dialogue pieces line up at those specific times. I don't know what the budget was for this game, but it was incredibly well done. The visuals were fucking amazing for a console game. I did have it on resolution again, but I mean that resolution bump, that visuals bump was fucking crazy. The graphics were so good for a PlayStation game. I mean, I've played a couple PlayStation games. I think I played Detroit Become Human on PlayStation. I played Spider-Man, which was one of the only ones that I ever had played, and then this one. Not a whole lot, but I am genuinely blown away with the way that this fucking game looks compared to like some other console games. I think that they had very unique gameplay. And when I say unique, I guess maybe not unique, but there's certain aspects. The puzzles that they had were fairly unique. I didn't feel like going up to a puzzle like it was from another game. Sure, the basics of it are very concrete to puzzle solving and problem solving, but there were a lot of times where I really had to think about it, and maybe I'm just an idiot, but they created some puzzles out of some really unique mechanics that the game brought. And I loved the Leviathan axe. I loved using that thing. The Blades of Chaos were pretty fun. There's definitely that balance of if you want widespread attacks versus strong and direct attacks, and you can choose between one of those two weapons. There was a couple times during the combat that I feel like, and I know I'm not the only one that has thought this as well, but the what would you call them? The finishers, or when the enemy is stunned and you go up and execute them, the executions, the repetitive, like there's only one or two based off of chance or type of enemy that it is, that you can execute these enemies. a little more variety would have been nice. That, again, that's nitpicky. That's not to say that it makes it a bad game that they didn't have them. It's just after a while it became more of a tactic than it was like a visual pleasure to watch. It was more of a tactic to get the enemy to down as much health as possible by going through these executions rather than watching it because it looks cool. They were satisfying in a lot of ways, but it's like once it started, you knew how it ended. You know, killing the ogres or killing the soul devourers, you know, stuff like that is definitely it would have been cool to see a larger variety of the way that Kratos could kill these different enemies of his. But the enemies, the variety of enemies, the different enemies was awesome. I like the different variety of enemies. There was an ample amount of different types of enemies that you had to adjust your approach, and they made things interesting. Even though some of them were not as enjoyable to fight, I still think that variety is important, more so than, you know, the nightmares are really annoying to fight because they're easy and they get on your nerves, or the flying, you know, the dark elves. Whatever that might be, it's still really cool, the amount of different enemies that they had available for you to fight, and it just brings another level of realness to the game that brings you in, because it's not 2 or 3 different types of enemies and different skins. Yeah, and visuals were amazing. Music, fucking fantastic. This has got to be one of the best soundtracks, other than, like, I mean, sound design, incredible. I like, kind of reminds me of Hellblade a little bit. There was a visual thing that I heard, that everything's shot in one camera angle. There are no cutaways, which, yeah, it brings you in a little bit. I don't know that I would have noticed it had I not read something about it, but it does bring another level of immersion to it. Yeah, I love this soundtrack. The voice actors were fucking incredible. I don't think there's a single time, especially the kid. I always gotta commend child voice actors, or child actors in general, when they can act as authentic as adults. Because I can't imagine, like, the comprehension for me. I can imagine what it might be like to try and act as an adult, but as a child, to really communicate that level of authenticity is just it blows me away. And to keep reusing that statement over and over again, it's impressive. It's impressive to say the least. Yeah, all the voice actor. I don't think there was a single voice actor out there that I just wasn't pleased with or thought was subpar. They were all really great. I'm trying to think of anything else. That fight with Baldur was one of the coolest displays of action. I think that was probably my favorite, because it really showed you the extent of Kratos' strength, and well, maybe not the extent, but it gave the biggest leap of what he was capable of. Obviously, he went from carrying a tree on his shoulder to tanking punches in the chin, soaring through the air and landing on his back, and punching somebody else through trees and rocks. And then the introduction of the rage mechanic was super cool. It just made you feel like, you know, it was a badass fist fight. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. The dragon thing was a lot of fun too. The second fight with Baldur, I mean, the epicness of that point. I feel like at that point it might have been not as epic just because we'd already been through so much. But at the, I mean, not to discredit how fun it was. It was a lot of fun to play this game. It was so much fun. I think in the end, if I had a little more mythology, Greek or Nordic, it would have deepened my appreciation for it in the beginning rather than having to learn about it afterwards. I like delving a little bit into the lore a little bit more and finding out motivations and stuff like that. It just it took a little bit of an outside source to be able to have a better understanding of it, and that might just be a chance factor. People out there that do have knowledge about Nordic mythology and Greek mythology may look at some of these and just be like, God damn. That's another thing, that the whole chance factor and the audience that it's portraying to. I imagine that this game would hit like a fucking semi-truck for parents. Parents of young children as well. I feel like that is a bond that I don't fully understand. And while I might be able to fantasize about having a child and my relationship with that child, the relationship I'd like to have, I don't truly understand what it's like to have a kid or to love something that deeply and to have that relationship with my own creation, or having to go through the hardships of raising a child. And I feel like there was a lot of moments in this game that really could have resonated with me had I had that experience. There was, I think, the most emotional scene for me was when he let the kid carry his mom's ashes. And I mean, I could imagine that if I had that experience with me, it probably would have broke me in that moment. And there's plenty of other instances in this game that probably would have been way more emotional for me had I had that foundation of knowledge of raising a kid. I think that's really who would just absolutely fall in love with this game. Not to say that I didn't completely. It's just that, well, I guess I didn't, because its audience. I love stories and I love the way that this portrayed, but it wasn't. I don't think I'll ever be able to fully appreciate it until I revisit it at a later time when I have that sort of knowledge. I think at that point it would really be the cherry on top that really ties everything together. It would allow me to ignore all the other dissatisfactions that I have with it and appreciate it at that higher level. That being said, I would give this game an 8 out of 10. It almost teetered on that 9 at the end. I thought there was going to be much more of a heavy explanation as to all the different questions that I might have had, or, eyebrows raised here and there. Would have gone a little more in depth to how everything was going. I thought maybe Jotunheim there would have been a few more action sequences. We got the best armor of the game after we had no more enemies to fucking fight. That was a little disappointing, and I know it kind of sets you up to where you can still explore the rest of the realm of Midgard and do all these side quests, but it just, after the story's over, I'm no longer interested in doing stuff like that. That's the way I've always been. I tried to do as much side stuff as I can before the main story completes, but I was not expecting it to end that abruptly. And it did feel like it ended slightly abruptly. 8 out of 10. Still really good. It's a really, really good game. I would recommend it to anybody who hasn't played it. It's definitely not a do with or do without. It's I would recommend playing it if you have not. And if you have a PlayStation, I would recommend that you do play it, especially for $20. It's $20 right now. That's how much I bought it for. If they cleared up those couple different story deals, it would be bumped up to a 9. I still think, however, it's very linear as far as... Well, I can't even say that either. It's not necessarily linear. There's some sort of element missing from it, and I think it's my own past appreciations for others. Now, my explanation as to why I even played this game. I played this game because of the 2018 Game of the Year Awards outcome. The outcome was that this game won more Game of the Year awards than Red Dead Redemption 2 did. Red Dead Redemption 2 is my favorite game of all time. The amount of fucking work that was put into that game, the amount of detail that you see every time I boot that game up, I say wow about something else. Just very recently 100%ed the game on PC, and despite all of its bugs, I fell in love with every single hour that I was in it. Sure, there was a couple tedious moments that if I went back I would rather not play again, but my god, I just even thinking about that story, those characters, makes me want to play it over again. And I just don't really have that same yearning for this game. And I knew that I probably wouldn't, but I wanted to give it a shot before I had anything to add to the conversation of which one I might favor. I wanted to have that knowledge of both of them. And I'm glad I did play this game. I'm really glad I did get to experience it, but I still don't think that it was as good as Red Dead Redemption 2, but that's my own personal opinion. And it's my foundations from Red Dead Redemption 2 that leave me... I came into this with a comparison type mindset, and that's kind of the way that I've analyzed the whole thing. I don't know what my opinion would have been on it had I never played Red Dead Redemption 2, but I do have a great appreciation for this game, and I thoroughly enjoyed my time playing. I just don't... I think that there are things that it could have that would give it that next leg up. But I don't think... I think the game would have to be completely and more thoroughly built upon in order for it to compare even closely to Red Dead Redemption 2. In my mind, Red Dead Redemption 2 is a masterpiece. This game is really good, but it's not a masterpiece, and it's a little ways away from being a masterpiece. I know it sounds like in this moment I'm not really giving God of War the credit it deserves, and I don't want it to sound like it's a mediocre game. If there's anything you should take away from this, it's that it is a very good game and you definitely should play it. I'm just adding that small little footnote about Red Dead Redemption 2 because that was my whole motivation for playing this. Yeah, there's not a whole lot much else to say. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to let these credits play out, and if there's anything at the end, then we will watch it, but if there's not, hell, you made it this far, you might as well hit the fucking subscribe button already. If you're deciding you're gonna cut out of the video now, make sure to leave a like on the video before you walk out that door, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Thanks again.
Atreus, are you ready?
Yeah, but I had the weirdest dream. Fimbulwinter was ending, and Thor came for us, here at the house.
It was only a dream.
But it felt different. It felt real. It felt like the future.
Then we will worry about it tomorrow. Today, there are still things we can do. Come.
Huh. So they determined that what happened was just a dream. Very interesting. So it didn't really happen when Thor exposed himself to... I say exposed himself. Showed up on their doorstep. Huh.